Hi, this is Paul from Outerloop Coaching and OuterloopCoaching.com. I'm with you in this video to talk about the things that are good and you should pull from and the lessons that are bad and you should ignore from Taylor Swift's new Folklore album and the way it was secretly released. Please like the video down below. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure that you get the alerts. And of course, give me a comment down below. Let me know what you think of this album and the way that it was released. All right, so Taylor Swift's Folklore album was released just a few days ago, and it was like a top secret. Nobody was expecting it released, and now it's out. It's getting rave reviews. I gotta be fully honest with you. You could play a Taylor Swift song to me, and I wouldn't be able to tell you who it was. I'm not really familiar with the catalog, but boy, these reviews are so good. I think I'm gonna have to go check it out. You might be a lot more familiar with her stuff. What I am very familiar with is that she's one of the hardest working people in the music business on the artist side, and that I absolutely respect and commend. Here she's taken the time during quarantine, during this coronavirus lockdown, to create new art, create new stuff, and I love that. We always want to be trying to create more than we consume. If you find yourself, watching lots and lots of YouTube videos, perhaps like this one, you're watching lots and lots of content on your Netflix or on your Amazon Prime or whatever it is, your Hulu, right? And you're not spending at least the same amount of time trying to create. That is something you need to change. I can promise you, most likely, someone as productive as Taylor Swift probably has very little idea what Tiger King and what the big deal is about Tiger King, right? So she's creating more than she's consuming, and that's what makes her so productive. That's a really great lesson to take from what she's doing. Not always are you going to feel inspired. Not always are you going to feel like you really want to create, but just going through the exercise of sitting down and trying to create something, you never know when inspiration is going to strike. And I can promise you, it's a lot more likely to happen when you sit down with the intention of creating than when you sit down with the intention of doing something completely different. That's a great lesson to take from what Taylor Swift is doing. This is her second release in less than a year, from what I understand, and that is pretty amazing. And it's not a short album either. Now, a lot of people are talking about whether they should also consider one of these super surprise releases. Please do not take this advice. If you do not have a massive following, and I can guarantee you don't have a massive following like Taylor Swift has, do not do a secret release. This is why. In order to generate the excitement that you need, in order to generate those week 1, week 2, real great momentum you're going to need for your album or EP release, you need time to build that. And that's going to take, it could take 12, 16, even 20 weeks. That's a long time. Check out my program. It's called Release It Right. What I did with Release It Right was I took successful release rollouts and then I just pulled out all of the commonalities and put it down into one system that you can follow. I highly recommend it. Take all the guesswork out of it and make sure that you have a release rollout that will be successful. I can promise you, if you were to release your next album or EP, top secret, on Friday, nobody, unfortunately, is going to care. And that's part of what makes Taylor Swift in her secret release somewhat successful, is it ends up being a way that she can market the release. It's different from anything else that she's done, and the media will get excited about it. It's pretty slow news cycle. She might even decided, hey, we're waiting until there's something slow in the news. Now everybody will talk about my album. I don't know. But she's able to take advantage of just that massive audience and that massive media attention that she already has in order to generate excitement by the last minute release. You do not have that, so don't try. If you try to put out a release last minute, totally secret, it'll be like it never happened. Now there's one advantage to doing this that I would say, and it is if you are releasing an album or an EP that is somewhat more experimental, it's something different from what you've done, you're unsure whether you want to have the kind of attention, if you've just kind of thrown it together and you're okay with it kind of going out with a whimper, if that makes sense, then this is a great way to do it. A lot of artists will resist opportunities to try new things with their music, try to experiment with it, try to do things that might frankly disappoint their fans. I recommend doing that in the version of an EP or just a single, and just to see how people like it or don't like it, rather than doing a secret release. But if you feel real productive and like that real inspiration has struck, like I was talking about earlier, then you can do a last minute release with a very, long formatted release collection of songs. And if your fans really get into it, great. If they don't, it's okay, because they will recognize it as being sort of just thrown out there just like it was. So again, be productive. Keep on creating more than you consume, and be very, very deliberate about how you release your music. Yes, it does take 12, 16, even 20 weeks. That's almost half a year to generate the kind of excitement that you need for your next album or EP release. So make sure that you're real diligent about that. Don't do the last minute release unless you have a massive following and or you are doing something that is a little bit more experimental and you don't mind it being looked upon as being something a little more experimental and a little more just sort of thrown out there. So that's my advice. Taylor Swift's Folklore. I gotta go listen to it now. I haven't heard a note, so I'm gonna go do that, and I'll see you in the next video.